Today on the Sean and Bo Show, the bizarre disappearance of a Denver Bronco fan during last Thursday night's game.
Kevin Kolb retires and reveals shocking concussion symptoms.
Plus, the NCAA playoff rankings are out. Not everybody's happy, but at least one player is. He's dating a porn star. It's all coming up on the Sean and Bo Show. Hey everybody, welcome. It's episode 26 of the Sean and Bo Show. Sean O'Donnell, along with my co-host Bo Greer. We just had to rip ourselves away from this World Series game in order to do this this podcast. Big second inning there for the Royals with 7 runs.
Man, they laid it on thick, didn't they? They got after them. But the way this World Series has been going, you're kind of just waiting to see if the other team's going to come back and have a second shot at them, but it's not looking too confident.
9-0 now. They scored again.
9-0.
A lot of people predicted there would be a Game 7, not a huge surprise, but I would anticipate that, if they did the stupid things that they do at football game, that has got to be the loudest baseball game I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, yeah. Whenever your team's winning, the feelings you feel and how excited you are, it's already a party before the game, and then you get lucky enough to go out there and just stomp on your opponent. You're talking about a World Series. The only thing left for them is to get the trophy. So the beer's flowing. People are eating wings like it's going out of style. In that place right now, if I could get in a machine and just zap myself right there, I'd be there in a heartbeat because I'm always looking for a party.
Now, didn't you call San Fran in 6?
Yeah, I did. I said San Fran in 6.
So you're already wrong. There's still time to be more wrong, though. So don't worry about that.
It's early in the show. If you guys want to hear some more predictions on some other things, just do the opposite. You'll be fine.
Well, before we get to that, Bo, this is important. I'm going to need you to put your headphones on for a second there because, I just got to get the full effect here. So let's just get this out of the way now, all right?
You did one hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
Yeah, how about them Cowboys? They lost last night to the Washington Redskins, a game that nobody, myself included, predicted, and I had to make sure that Bo was free of any self-mutilation scars. I instructed his wife to hide his belt last night. I don't know if she got the memo or not, but he looks to be in good health. Bo, how are we feeling?
I'm feeling okay. I'm not the one Cowboys Nation's worried about. We're worried about Tony Romo. If he's willing to come out there and basically pilot the biggest ship known to America when it comes to football, that is the Dallas Cowboys, high as a kite, what else is he willing to pilot in that state? Because my man was out of it after that injury.
He could, by the looks of it, he wished he could get injured like that every single game so that they could shoot him up with whatever giant syringe full of drugs. Jerry was probably the one that did it.
Yeah.
He was the one that actually broke the news to the head coach that, hey, Romo was coming back in. He was probably the person that administered the syringe in the locker room.
The coaches and I talked. That would be the equivalent to the principal coming out on the field Friday night in a football game and, hey, coach, you need to run this play. That's the equivalent to Jerry Jones. The only thing he has is the checkbook. That's all Jerry Jones has, but he's going to walk himself down there and intervene. There's got to be some law against that. Why is it that
he's the general manager?
But tell me this, though, in our society, this is why kids don't listen to adults, because they know money trumps everything. You figure that out when you're like 6 years old. You're like, oh, all I got to do is get rich and nobody can tell me what to do. So here's Jerry Jones. He's not a doctor, last time I checked. I think he made his money in real estate.
He probably has scrubs that look like a nice 3-piece suit.
Oh, yeah, he plays with those girls that he takes the pictures with in those scrubs. That's what he wears. But, he's not a doctor. He did real estate. He played college football at the University of Arkansas. But all of a sudden, my man rolls out of a Holiday Inn Express and he's telling everybody, this is what we got to do. Romo's ready. No, Romo was not ready. Wheaton came in and he did a great job. I'm sick of this kind of stuff. I think Wheaton did a great job. He had a stronger arm. The velocity on those throws. Do we have to bust out the film?
Run the ball, though.
Yeah, that too.
Run the ball.
That too. It's just, the Ivy League coach, Mr. Jason Garrett, he tries to think too much sometimes. And I don't want to sit here and do what the rest of the country is doing, is cowboy bashing, because there's a lot of people.
Yeah, we know you don't want to do that.
There's a lot of people out there, Sean, that would love to be 6-2. I mean, the whole state of California, there's teams out there that would just love to just say, "Oh, we're New York, the whole state of New York." They would love to be 6-2. I mean, they would trade that in a heartbeat with us. They would be like, "Cowboys, let the Giants and Jets be 6-2." You guys would want that. Chiefs Nation, I know you guys would want to be 6-2.
No, we're good. No, we don't want to be the Cowboys.
No, okay. Not 3 weeks ago he wasn't talking like that.
I was trying to text Bo last night, let him know that our friend Melissa Joan Hart retweeted one of my tweets bad-mouthing his team, and he wouldn't even answer texts. I
had a mutiny on my hands.
I think in overtime he probably had a little paper grocery bag he was hyperventilating into.
This is the stuff that I think I should get tax breaks on, Jerry Jones. I'm over here trying to diffuse a mutiny amongst Cowboys fans because Romo's going back in the game.
A near fist fight is what you told me.
Yeah. This stuff happens. This is what goes on in Cowboys Nation. This is the state of our country. If we were a country, we're not a very proud one. Even though we're 6-2, we're still like the little kids that can remember the days when things weren't so good. Hey, Dad got a new job, but just 4 months ago, it wasn't that pretty around these parts. But, there's always next week, Sean. It's a week-to-week league. We don't need to panic. Kids, Christmas is around the corner.
Yeah, the Redskins are a whole lot better than Arizona, who you have next week.
Yeah, but Colt McCoy.
It's going to be panic time for Cowboy Nation if you lose that game.
I have to remind people it's football, and football is a thinking man's game. And Gruden.
That's what they're always saying. Chess, it's all about brawn, but if you're a smart guy, you get into football.
That's it. But, Gruden, he finally got a quarterback that mimics the one he has to invest all his time creating an offense to operate around. He has a speed guy that has a big cannon for an arm. So when you got McCoy in there, McCoy basically ran the same read spread type option at Texas that he did at Baylor. And you've seen how effective that is. That's why when we sit here last week and we're like, what do you do with Robert Griffin III? They're holding on. They're waiting because they're like, man, if Colt McCoy can win in this offense, what can Robert Griffin do if he could play a full season? Which we're yet to see.
Right.
We're still waiting to see that. I'm not going to blow up, just like I hope Seattle fans are not going crazy and slitting their wrists. They're back. They got a close one. They got lucky and got a win. But, these things are going to happen. It's a week-to-week league. It's about matchups. We're dealing with prima donnas, millionaires, and owners that like to come down out of the box and tell the coaches what to do. So, there's always next week.
What the hell were they doing, by the way, when they it's a 3-point game in the third quarter, and they talked to Jerry Jones with a headset on for 5 minutes? Show the damn game. It's kind of important, guys.
Okay, so that conversation's going on, and I think precisely at that moment, I'm talking to my friends, the loyal members of Cowboys Nation, and I'm like, the fact that our quarterback gets hurt and he has to walk through a bar before he gets to the station that conducts MRIs lets you know that management is not focused in the right direction. Just let's think about that, America. When you go to work and you're walking in through the place where you stamp in your timesheet or you check in, or maybe you're lucky enough to just have an office and you go in, did the guy who created the institution that pays your mortgage and puts your kids through school say, hey, you know what? I think this will be a good idea. Before people show up to build cars or educate kids or work in a coal mine, let's put a bar right there by the entrance. So right when they walk through, they'll get distracted. This is the guy that we're dealing with.
Probably less distracting than if they had to walk through the Victoria's Secrets on their way to the MRI machine. But I see your point. It would be cool to be sitting in there sitting on your smartphone on Twitter. Just saw Romo.
Yeah.
I think he might be coming back. Doesn't look too bad. I didn't see any tears.
No, this is the thing I got to ask. So whenever I'm drinking, the last thing that I want are pungent odors. And the worst smell in sports is football players, because we have a must because we wear pads, and all the pads do is soak up sweat. So when Romo came walking off that field through that bar, was there anybody gagging?
It's like an aquarium setup. The bars are actually behind glass.
Oh, okay, okay.
I think they're probably even soundproof.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That's great. Like I just want to know, like, is it close enough in the vicinity to people to where, like, they're like, man, that dude is funky. Like, when you watch football, you don't think about that. That's one of those questions. Just a week ago, who was it? A-Rod almost gets knocked down because he was walking out of the Cowboys tunnel when they were taking the field. There's just a number of things that go on besides football in Jerry world.
Oh, Jerry knows that quite well.
Yes, he does.
Now, before we get done talking about a team that lost this week and get on to the winning teams later in the show, how about this? I was so proud of myself. I heard this and immediately I thought, Bo, we have a new slogan for our show. It just seemed to fit perfectly what we have going on here. And then I heard Dan Patrick this morning, and he's talking about making a T-shirt out of it. It was when John Gruden said during the broadcast, well, anything can happen on any given Sunday, especially Monday night. Perfect Gruden. That's Gruden. I mean, just that quote, that is the essence of Chucky right there.
That is. And, as coaches, we often say silly things like that because it's the point that you're trying to get across. Like, we play football games Thursday, Friday night. You say stupid things like, because everybody in America knows football for high schools on Friday, University of New Mexico and everybody else who plays all their college football games late Friday nights, Thursday night. This is who I'm talking to. It's supposed to be high schools on Friday, colleges on Saturday, NFL on Sunday. But somewhere in like the late 90s, early 2000s, we got this all confused. And like things are so jumbled. Like, you remember that, Sean? Like, we're the last generation that experienced it where Friday night you got out of high school, you went to a high school football game.
Yeah.
There was nothing on TV. Saturday night and Saturday during the day it was college football.
Family Matters.
Yeah. Oh, man. Don't you remember TGIF?
Urkel, baby. Come on.
There you go. Oh, those were the days. And then Sundays were football. And it's so crazy now. And like you said last week, you hit on this. The World Series leading up to it, the playoffs, good luck finding what channel it's on. That's an art in itself.
Not to get off on a ridiculous tangent that has nothing to do with sports. Wasn't that weird-ass show Dinosaurs also on Friday night, or was that Thursday night?
Yes, it was.
What a strange damn show that was.
Very strange. Have you watched it since you, like, being an adult?
Yeah,
you went back
hasn't aged well.
No, did not age well.
Because they weren't using CGI or anything. It was just straight up puppets.
That was crazy. Like, the fact that entertained me lets me know that my brain has developed
What was
a little
the baby's
bit. Just a little.
What was the baby's catch line that you'd also
Not the mama.
Yeah.
Not the mama.
I don't think that show gets made today.
No, not getting.
Now, this was bizarre, Bo. I know you've heard about this story. I just came across it this morning. On the Thursday night game, a Bronco fan just up and vanished, just gone. What happened was this guy's son, Jared Tonneson, went to the bathroom, and the details between the CBS story and the CNN story don't match up, so I'm not sure which one to believe. But so the son goes to the bathroom. One story said the dad was going to wait outside the bathroom for him. The other story said he was just chilling at his seat. He was just going to remain seated. And either way, the kid gets out of the bathroom. I say kid, he's an adult. The son gets out of the bathroom. His dad's gone. Not at the seats, not outside the bathroom, not in the bathroom, not getting a beer. Then after the game, not at the spot where they had agreed they were going to meet up if they got separated. They looked all over the place for him. One report I read said that they were even like looking on trees and any place this guy could have been. And he's missing. He's been missing since that game.
I know who I blame for this. This is your fault, Harris Poll people. This is what you do. You make a Harris poll. He's thinking this is America's team, and he gets there and he's let down. He's probably running back to Dallas right now. That's exactly where he is. But no, on a more serious note, Sean, I have seen these videos about, me, I'm Mr. Conspiracy, and I'm watching this one, and it's like alien abductions. And I'm like, okay, there's so many alien abductions that it reported, and they always end up showing some guy that, is missing teeth, and he's from the middle of nowhere in the Midwest. But this guy comes on at the end of this program I'm watching. This is a Discovery Channel or something like that, documentary. He says, like 90% of these things are false. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So I get into this. All these ex-FBI, criminology experts, whatever, put their lives on the line, fighting crime. When they retire, they still want to do something. So they love hunting after these disappeared people, these up in quotes, disappeared. But what tends to happen, and this is what was shocking to me, and it made me start to believe this guy, is do you ever notice this always happens at these big events? That lady from Atlanta who disappeared and ended up in New Mexico on her wedding day. She came up with this crazy stories like she was abducted or something.
Yeah.
This one guy was calling in on the radio. He's flying a prop plane and he's talking about how, there's aliens all around my aircraft and I can't see anything and they took over my aircraft, and like they found him like years later living another life in Europe or something. It's craziness.
This is what Bo is watching on TV when he's not watching a Cowboys game.
This is what I flip over to. So I'm sitting here and I'm reading the story because I got all juiced up about this in the morning. Disappearance in a stadium. You can't find the guy. He's not drunk somewhere. He's not arrested. Oh my gosh, this sounds like that special I had just watched weeks before. You use a big event, you get your whole family at a game, you disappear. You're going to find like 3 months will go by and somebody will release a statement saying that this guy owed back taxes or something.
So you think he went all DB Cooper?
Yeah. And you'll find out like his family after so many months of him being gone will be trying to cash a life insurance policy. Like, I just want to see how this plays out first.
Some strange details about this that I noticed. The guy wasn't particularly old. He was in good health. He was 53. Mm-hmm. So it's not like he has, dementia and just wandered off, okay? He was a construction worker, kind of blue-collar type, didn't really like carrying around a cell phone. So, of course, naturally, he didn't have his cell phone on him, so no way to track him that way. Also, didn't bring a credit card. Son said that he just had some cash on him, like $50. So you put those things together, it's like, what are the possibilities here? One, maybe he owed somebody money, maybe gambling debt or something like that. Saw a way to get off the grid. Maybe the opposite. Maybe he hit the lotto and didn't want to share the millions with his family. Mm-hmm. Maybe he was having an affair and this was his chance to break free from his relationships and start anew or something like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe he wandered through some door that was unlocked when he walked through it, and he's trapped somewhere in the innards of Mile High Stadium. But
tell me,
it is some weird, fishy stuff going on there.
We've done it. We've talked about it, maybe joking, with friends around a campfire, whatever. You say to yourself, man, I just wish sometimes I could just hang it all up, disappear, go live in the mountains. Some people do it.
That's got to be so tough for his family, though. I mean, you would... a family member dies, you would almost rather know what happened to them than live with the possibility that one day they're just going to show up out of the blue.
Let's just not get off sports because, hey, like I said, I've done social work in the past. Not everybody's family is your family and my family. Well, some of us are looking for that alien spaceship to come.
According to these, he was at the game with his son. He was a normal guy. By all accounts here,
I know.
It's weird.
I hate that kind of stuff because if we never find him or never anything ever, you just never know. You're like, what happened to this dude?
Now, this story absolutely shocked me. I did not see this coming at all. This was on the MMQB. Kevin Kolb has announced his retirement. And the guy played most of his career as a backup, didn't play especially long or anything like that. But he unveiled some frankly shocking symptoms that he's dealing with all the time now. According to this story, Kevin Kolb wrote, quote, "The ringing is like someone shooting a shotgun right next to my ear every second of every day. It doesn't go away." He went on to say, the sensitivity to light also has a profound impact. I'll be in a business meeting indoors and have to politely ask to put on my sunglasses before the headaches and double vision start. And, this guy is, he just turned 30 years old.
Yeah.
And potentially, these things don't get better with age.
No.
It's just sad, quite frankly. I mean, this is somebody that's still basically a young adult. He's not even middle-aged yet. And he's dealing with some basically crippling symptoms from playing NFL ball and getting those concussions.
I'm just like, when you mentioned the story to me, I was taken back. I read a little bit about it, and I couldn't even imagine, first of all, being this age. I'm still in those years where I love getting up and yelling and getting my juice flowing. I still consider myself I'm a broke athlete, a broken down athlete, but I still like to go do things that a 30-year-old does. And right now, this man is living the life of a 80-year-old veteran. I mean, that's horrible. You got ringing in your ears constantly. That reminds me of my father-in-law telling me his ringing in his ears is from standing next to the big guns on the Navy ships when they used to fire them off. That's where he used to be before. Even with protection, you're not going to be protected from that. And you think about, okay, so this guy got hit in the head and he's dealing with this at 30. Like, this didn't start in my father-in-law until he was in his 50s, and they finally figured it out. They're like, hey, you served in a ship, and how long were you there? Oh yeah, this is why your hearing's going away. This is insane. This is internal. This is brain stuff here. I don't know what to say. It's concussion lawsuits. You can go after as much money as you want, but how do you even put somebody's life together? You're not going to be able to put this man's life back together.
Speaking of money, Vice Sports, Patrick Ruby had an awesome article today entitled "The NFL Concussion Settlement is Pure Evil." Bo, you got to check this out. It's on our Twitter at Sean and Bo Show. For our listeners out there that would like to read this, it's lengthy. It goes into how basically the NFL and their lawyers systematically engineered this concussion settlement to screw former players. He really goes into this at depth, cites all of the parts of the settlement and how the NFL is doing this. Basically, they're kind of picking and choosing which mental ailments that CTE sufferers often get, like ALS is covered, but if you have like a pituitary gland problem, it's not covered. He even went on to say in this article that those two symptoms that we read Kevin Cobb talk about, not covered. Not only that, but if you don't get the testing done and certified that you're having these concussion problems later in life, both the length of time you've played in the league and how old you are when it gets detected influence the amount of money you get. So if you're a 70-year-old and these symptoms surface, you're not going to get as much as a 65-year-old whose symptoms have just surfaced. It's messed up. He also goes into how, like, you have to have played just in a certain time frame of years to be eligible for this stuff. It's unreal. I mean, one of the most poignant parts about the article is that he compares how the NFL looks at its players like how General Motors looks at a faulty ignition. Just straight commodities, just dollars and cents, black and white on the ledger. So again, check that out. It's on our Twitter at Sean and Bo Show. All right, well, coming up on the show, a little lighter story. A Notre Dame player is apparently dating a porn star. Plus, the college football playoff ranking has come out with their first ranking of the year. We'll go over that, and we'll see how badly Bo is doing in the NFL picks for the week. It's coming up on the Sean and Bo Show. Thank you very much for listening to the Sean and Bo Show. We love to interact with our listeners, so please get a hold of us. Easiest way is probably on Twitter at Sean and Bo Show. Good way to stay up to date with the show in between shows. Do a lot of tweeting on there, so definitely follow us on there and reach out. If you don't do the Twitter, you can drop us a simple email, seanandboshow@gmail.com. Back to the show.
Welcome back to the Sean and Bo Show. Man, this is a weird one. On a day where the Pope is acknowledging the Big Bang Theory and everything else that has to do with evolution, we have a Notre Dame football player that's decided to court around a porn star. Give me a little bit more on this, Sean.
Well, first of all, Bo, ESPN's Darren Rovell apparently never heard that it ain't no fun if the homies can't have some, because he straight narked out our boy here. It's a true freshman, 18-year-old wide receiver Justin Brent, who was photographed with, you'll remember her from the classic cinematic experience, Nailin' Palin. That is adult actress Lisa Ann. They were photographed together at a New York Knicks game. She was kind of sitting on his lap there. Now, before you say, what is an 18-year-old football player doing with a 42-year-old porn star, maybe they have a lot in common, Bo.
They could.
They belong to the same book club, probably, right?
Yeah. Well, let's just go ahead and do a little something that, we were talking about this weekend. It's 2014, getting ready to jump into 2015. We have surpassed everything that Spielberg thought was going to happen by now in the Back to the Future flicks. And we know what Viagra and Cialis do for men. We still need commercials about it, and we still need people to report stories on why 40-year-old women who are in her type of, income category are looking for an 18-year-old man who plays college football and probably, he's a little bit stronger and in better shape than most men her age.
No.
What? Oh, wow. We're amazed. This isn't the first time. Having played college football, tons of guys on the team that have 40-year-old cougar women chasing them around, buying them stuff on the weekends, taking them out, and it's amazing. Like, this goes on in every city, every state, every college. It's just that this is a story because I believe it's the fact that he goes to a Catholic school. I just think that's all it
that's
is.
kind of a big part of this story. In fact, here is the sex section in Notre Dame's Code of Conduct. It reads, sexual activity. The university embraces the Catholic Church's teaching that a genuine and complete expression of love through sex requires a commitment to a total living and sharing together of two persons in marriage. Consequently, students who engage in sexual union outside of marriage may be subject to referral to the university conduct process.
Yeah, they'll never touch it. You know why they'll never touch it?
I can't prove anything happened.
Well, it's the same reason they'll never touch that.
Maybe they were doing a Bible study. Maybe he was trying to save her, Bo.
Well, it's the same reason that ESPN will never. Could you imagine if that young man was gay, homosexual, and he had a partner? They would not jump on this story like this. It's like the same. That's the same reason Notre Dame is not going to go to the code of conduct on this, because they would have to go through the campus and basically follow around every student to make sure they're following these rules, which we know they are not.
Hey, and on top of that, it could be awfully good for Notre Dame's recruiting.
Oh, yes.
Our players have access to the best.
The best of the best.
Our facilities are the best.
Oh, man, and that picture that you have there, that's the picture that they're going to put on the front of all the recruiting envelopes that go out next year. If you're a Notre Dame recruit, you're going to check that one out.
You might not get a lot of time on the field of play, but that's not to say you won't get plenty of play.
There you go. Kelly's going to take that one down. You better copyright that.
Well, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, Bo. The College Football Playoff Committee is an evil cabal that wants to drag down Notre Dame and find men like Mr. Brent. It came out today. It's going to come out every Tuesday night until the end of the season. And currently your top four in the college playoff ranking picture: number 4 Ole Miss, number 3 Auburn, number 2 Florida State, number 1 Mississippi State. So we're dealing with an area of geography that probably takes up a couple 100 miles there in the top 4.
What's funny is I thought that Archie Manning was not able to vote. Apparently, he's still got a couple in there, because I thought Ole Miss lost. And
they sure did, Bo. They sure did.
I was just making sure. I watched that game, and I went to bed thinking Ole Miss lost their shot. But no, I was wrong. The power of the SEC.
So what surprises you looking at this top 10? I consider myself a Notre Dame fan, so when I see them at number 10 and yet number 6 in the AP, number 6 in ESPN's power rankings, kind of scratch my head a little bit. But what was surprising about this list to you, Bo?
Well, obviously, Ole Miss. I mean, that is LSU. LSU does not. They're not even sitting off anything on my radar as far as a powerful team. They play good, but they're not a team that you can lose to and make me think that you deserve to be in the college football playoff. To me, it sounds like the SEC network and everybody wants to make sure that Egg Bowl has a little bit more on the line. Now, maybe that's the logic they have. Ole Miss plays out the stretch. They go head-to-head against Mississippi State. that's ultimately the qualifier for them. If they lose that, they're not going to be in it. Oregon will be sitting there with their knife and fork in hand ready to eat at the table with the big boys. Now, Bama, on the other hand, that's tricky. What do you think about Alabama, Sean?
If they get into the top 4, it's because they played themselves in, because they still have to play 2 of those top 4 teams.
It's one of those deals to where you know that we're still not there when it comes to the amount of teams that we'd like to see being able to play for this national title in college football. But the past couple weeks, Alabama has gotten better. If that was pro football, I'd have to compare them, you're going to hate this, to the Broncos right now, the New England Patriots. The Broncos are playing like a team that money put together. The New England Patriots are starting to play like a team that has the best coach and a good coordinator. It takes time with these good ones. Yeah, they slipped up and they got beat on the road in a hostile environment. You have to look at them now and say, I don't think any of those teams in that top 4 could put them down. I mean, really, let's go head-to-head with Bama, Florida State, Mississippi State, Auburn, Ole Miss. They maybe lose one of those games and it's by a field goal.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I mean, I just wonder how much flux we're going to see in the coming weeks in this list. Like, part of me would be surprised if, maybe one of those top 4 teams are going to be in the top 4 by the end of this year. I would say that's probably about right. But I was kind of surprised in general by how they didn't just kind of echo the AP poll. I was expecting them to more follow in the coattails of the AP. I really didn't expect this committee to actually do something a little bit different. I mean, I guess to their credit or detriment, they are thinking.
You have to ask yourself this too. Like, if this comes out a decade ago, we're looking at this, early 2000s, late 90s, the Big 12 was carrying the torch. The SEC was the conference that everybody told you was really good, but they beat up on each other. I mean, the best team in the SEC at that time had 2 and 3 losses. I think LSU won a national championship with 2 losses that one of those years. But they would have a hard time climbing. So when I look at TCU, which scores more points than their basketball team, I look at Notre Dame, Kansas State, Michigan State. Do they have a chance?
I thought Notre Dame was sitting pretty if they just won out. And now at number 10, I mean, they're going to need a miracle.
They need more teams in this thing because there's just, to me, if I'm a commissioner, if I'm a guy that's in a position to profit off of what is college football, I'm looking at this list and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at all that money.
Yeah, you're just seeing dollar signs.
Oregon fans, Bama fans, TCU fans.
There's no unringing.
Michigan State.
There's no unringing the bell on this college playoff. I mean, now that we finally have it, I think it's a foregone conclusion that we're going to have 8 teams.
Have to.
I think that they're contractually locked into 4 teams until like 2025 or something like that.
They're going to get rid of. They're going to throw that out.
That's something a few lawyers in a boardroom could probably figure out.
Yeah. And who was the guy who locked them into that? Like, he has to be like the most like straight edge person on earth. Oh, we're only going to need 4 teams. You guys listen to me. 4 teams. Come on, 4 teams in college football. Do you watch this game? Anybody's capable of beating anybody. I mean, gosh, Kentucky was a few plays away from ruining what Mississippi State had going. You throw that in there, let's say Mississippi State and Ole Miss drop this weekend. Golly, I don't know how they pick this. Do you throw Oregon up there? Do you let Alabama jump 2 or 3 spots and go all the way up there in the top 2? I don't know. But it's going to be an interesting conversation. When it gets closer to this time, when it's actually upon us, I imagine that our show, Sean, we're going to have a hard time diving into the NFL because it's going to be a heated debate on who plays for this championship.
Can't wait.
All
right. Well, one of my favorite parts of the show has become our NFL picks. Why? Because I am kicking Bo's ass.
It's early.
Oh, it's over. Let's see. This week I went 9-6. How'd you do, Bo?
Oh man. Do we really need to talk about this? I won 7.
So under the 500 mark then.
Yes.
Bo, why don't you tell the people what has become of your system? What was your wife threatening?
Well, okay, so this is what happened. I left my NFL picks in the car, and my wife was going through my things and saw that I'm not doing that well, people. You listen to the show, you know. So she says to me today at lunch, hey, why don't you let me do some of your picks next week?
Oh, the mighty system.
Yeah, so, it may happen. The way the NFL's playing out, picking on uniforms and who has the best last name, that's probably what we're going to be reduced to.
You got to love your wife, though, Bo. Most wives out there are like checking their husband's shirts for lipstick and that sort of stuff. She's looking for your NFL picks.
Well, because
a woman.
She knows, she's found me betting. She knows what I do. So if she's gonna be with me, she's gonna make sure I'm not betting on losers all the time. That's what she's doing. She's protecting her investment.
All right. Well, with that in mind, let's move now to our week 9. Week 9, Bo. This season is already halfway over.
It's
Let that
wild.
sink in for a second.
Halfway over, and I still have no idea if the Cowboys are a playoff team or not.
You seemed pretty sure last week.
No, I seem sure on the simple fact that it looked like a new team, but now Jerry's coming out to tell the coach to put quarterbacks in, so we're back to the old ways.
Okay, and let me just say this before we jump into our week 9 picks. Hide your wallet this week, Bo, and other people that might fancy a entertaining sports gamble from time to time, because this week is brutal. You have a bunch of matchups that, in my mind, are basically coin flips. I count 1, 2, 3, 4 different spreads that have already flipped. So,
Wow.
so this week, be careful, folks. So the first game of week 9, Thursday night, this one's going to be a good one. New Orleans travels to Carolina, and this is one of those games whose line is flipped. The line opened with Carolina favored by 2.5. The line is currently New Orleans by 2.5. How do you see this one going, Bo?
Well, this is the first one going back to the NFL Network, right? These games are off CBS now.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, so with that being said, we're going to drop in production quality. So that somehow is going to affect Cam Newton. I'm going to go ahead and pick I'm going to pick the New Orleans Saints based on the production quality.
I like your rationale. I like your rationale, and I happen to agree with you. I think New Orleans wins the game. Next game, moving to Sunday morning, Tampa Bay at Cleveland. This one, kind of a stinker in terms of the quality of most of these games. I'd say I like Cleveland at home. The spread's Cleveland by 6.5. I'll take Cleveland.
That Tampa Bay team is pesky, man. They just find ways to be in games that they should not even be competing in. I'm going to take the Bucks in this one.
All right, so we disagree there. I blame that on that commercial for Bud Light where they ruined that guy's house with all the bucket. Looks like he doesn't even know who Warren Sapp is.
Yeah.
Who is this giant black man with a Buccaneers hat on in my living room?
Oh, man, that was scary right there. That was one of those moments where I was hoping that wasn't live, because when I first seen it, I didn't know what was going on. I was like, is that a commercial? What is this? Because, given Florida's history, you don't want to be jumping out of people's houses and they don't know you're there.
That's true. All right.
It is true.
This is one of the tough games for me, Bo. I probably already know where you stand. Arizona travels to Big D. Spread currently Dallas by 4. That might have changed already. Oh, geez. I just see problems with that Dallas team, as I've made you painfully aware of, Bo. Give me Arizona in the upset.
This is that week-to-week league stuff. I'm a fan. I'm always going to take Dallas. Arizona scares me. That secondary, the fact that they just get points when they need to get points, and we don't do that all the time. It's going to be a great game, though. But, I got to take Dallas. What do you guys think this is? I'm not one of those fair weather people. I didn't see the Harris poll and become a Broncos fan.
Well, you haven't done this well in the picks, thinking with your brain, that's for sure, Bo. All right, next game, another tough one to call here. Philadelphia at Houston. Eesh. Currently, the line is Philly by 2. We've talked in the past about generally being a team at home will give you 1.5 or 2 points home field advantage. So the fact that Philly's favored by 2 lets you know that Vegas thinks they're going to win by at least 3. Gosh, this is tough to pick unless.
Think about this. Philly is going to blast them just based on this. They are a J.J. Watt team. And whenever you can throw those quick screens like they do at Philly, J.J. Watt can't do nothing about that.
Well, and you're going to have Jadeveon Clowney back at close to full strength there for Houston, so that's another thing to think about. But
I think the tape's still out on him. I want to see what he can do.
I think that Chip Kelly and that fast offense is really starting to work.
Yeah.
I like Philadelphia in that game.
Yeah, I mean, okay, if you ran the spread at the high school and collegiate level because you lacked in talent, if you have a ton of talent, you're seeing what happens. It's Philly, went to the playoffs in his first year, and the man just doesn't lose a lot of games.
Next game, Jacksonville at Cincinnati. Spread is a big one. Cincy by 11. That sounds about right to me. Give me Cincy.
Did we skip a game? I think we skipped one there.
Oh, yeah,
blind because I know why you skipped it. He's nervous.
This one's obvious to everyone. Do we really need to talk about this game?
Oh, listen at the confidence. That sounds like somebody I was listening to last week and sitting in this exact same seat, rolling into that Washington game.
Okay. Jets at Kansas City. Jets are terrible. They're going to very loud Arrowhead. It's going to be a beatdown. Make this one of your parlay games. Kansas City rolls.
Don't you just love it, America? The confidence.
You going to disagree with me?
No, I'm not going to disagree with you. Well, wait. That's Mike Vick starting, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Man, you go ahead and give me Mike Vick. I'll take the Jets.
Oh, Jesus. All right. Okay,
no, I just don't forget. That man right there has the capability to single-handedly win you one game a season. One.
Not going to be this one, Bo. All right, so how about that Jacksonville at Cincinnati game? I took Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'll take Cincinnati.
All right, next game, San Diego at Miami. This is a deceptively good game.
Yeah, that's going to be one I want to see.
Sneaky good game here. Let's see, the line, another game that the line is flipped. Started off with San Diego by 1. It's now Miami by 2. I don't care. I think Phillip Rivers bounces back. Give me the Bolo.
Yeah, I'll take Mr. Rivers leading the way, all my fantasy points.
Oh, God.
It's great.
You couldn't pay me to bet on this game, Bo. Washington at Minnesota. I have no idea what to make of this matchup right now.
Did you not just watch that Monday night game?
Yeah, that's why I'm confused.
It's Colt McCoy. I'm telling you, it's because they can run that read option offense with him. You can't put Michigan State Kirk Cousins, hand the ball off, play action pass, stand tall in the pocket, and expect him to run RG3's offense. I thought he was capable. I sound like a fool because a month ago I really did. I was like, oh, Cousins can do that. But once you just take away the threat that this guy can pull the ball down and run on you, you get Kirk Cousins Redskins. This is a whole different Redskins team.
You going to get yourself a jersey?
Yeah. I want a Colt, the real McCoy. That's what the jersey's going to say.
All right, so you're taking the Redskins. I'm going to agree with Vegas and take Minnesota. This is yet another game. The spread flipped. Current spread, Minnesota by 2.5. Sounds good. I'll take Minnesota.
This is like Mac Brown, Texas against Louisville. That's the same team, dude. They are going to put it on Washington. We should bet money on that one. Washington's going to put it on Minnesota. I'd be willing to put a 20 on that.
Nah, I'm good.
All right.
Like I said, I don't know what to make of either one of these teams. I'm
confident.
I'm not as brazen as you with these picks, Bo. I rely on science. Okay, next game, first afternoon game. Rams go to San Francisco. What the hell's going on with San Francisco?
You have to start, you wonder, like if the guys know, football players know their coaches sometimes better than their wives and their families do because you spend so many hours. I can only imagine what it's like in the NFL to spend 20-hour days at a facility with a coach. I mean, you got to get to know the guy. And if for the past how many ever years you've watched Harbaugh, have a smile on his face when the Wolverines are playing well, and he's a down man when the Wolverines are playing bad, you kind of know in your heart, this guy wants to coach the Michigan Wolverines.
So his success is tied to how well Michigan is playing.
It's not like that. It's like me with the Cowboys. It's like on a level to where people only talk about the things that they're interested in. And I just wonder, if there's something that's deeper than rap going on in that locker room, man. Like, this stuff is real, because they're not the same team that came in and put it on Dallas and continue to figure out a way to win in Levi Stadium. Now, I think San Francisco is vulnerable. Somebody has exposed something there, and there's a formula to beat them.
No, I agree. I just don't think the Rams have the aptitude on a science level to read that formula. Give me the Niners. I'll take the Niners.
You don't think Jeff Fisher's capable of that?
He doesn't look like a man that spent too much time in a lab coat.
He's a Harley guy. He loves to ride them Harleys.
Yeah.
I'm going to take St. Louis in this one.
Okay, all right. All kinds of disagreement. So, hey, maybe if you do well, you can cut the giant gap in which I'm beating you by. All right, tough one to call. Entertaining game. Denver travels to New England. Denver, the 3-point favorites. I'm trying not to be emotional. I'm trying not to let the fact that I hate the Broncos taint my vision here, but I can't do that. I'm rooting for New England. New England's going to win this game, damn it.
I'm going with New England. We've watched this too many times.
I am shocked.
Yeah, Tom Brady, I used to be at those games where Brady and the Patriots would roll into Indianapolis, and you thought the Colts were like the greatest team ever, and they would just spank them. And you're like, what is it? And I figured it out. As a youth, I figured this out. Tom Brady is the quarterback that Manning never could be. Like, even though Manning can throw for a ton of yards, win games, he's not going to get Giselle. He's not going to be the prom king. He's not going to be the homecoming king. He's always going to be that guy that can throw touchdowns, but he's funny. Like,
hey, Manning wouldn't know what to do with Giselle if he got Giselle.
I like that. That's like, but no, I just feel like even when you make millions of dollars and you're supposed to be this professional, the same crap that made you go home and be sad in high school, it still gets under your skin. And I'll
show him, guys.
Yeah, I'm going to get him. Tom Brady's not better than us. He may be able to get supermodels and drive around in Mercedes, and I get Buicks, like, really, like, think about the whole life.
Stupid Tom Brady and his nice sweaters.
Like, when Tom Brady gets done winning a Super Bowl, they're like, hey, Tom, will you come pose next to this bottle of cologne in Europe? When Peyton Manning wins Super Bowls, it's, hey, let's go sell some Buicks, buddy. Like, it's two different worlds. And I just think that affects that, man. So you got to go with New England every time.
So what you're saying is that endorsing cologne doesn't carry the same sex appeal as crappy pizza?
There you go, buddy.
All right, biggest spread of the season so far that I've noticed, but I wouldn't take the spread. Last afternoon game features the Raiders traveling to Seattle. That's right, Seattle is supposed to beat them by 15 points, Bo.
Yeah.
Not going to happen the way Seattle's been playing.
Well, the league and all of its, glory has finally figured out a way to get me to watch a Raiders game. They're like, we're going to put them on in the afternoon. There's not going to be a lot of other games going on, and we're going to make them play the Super Bowl champs. That'll be perfect. That's the only way.
I'll be so pissed if that game's on instead of Denver and New England.
It's on. Somehow, some way we'll be watching that game. It's just, it's Oakland. I've been saying it. They seem to be so close each week.
They're not. Yeah, they're not getting handled every game or anything. But yeah, I think Seattle wins that game. But if I was a betting man, that Oakland with the points might look a little.
If you're the coach, why did you get fired? Like, I'm still trying to figure out, why did this guy get fired? Like, what was he doing? He must have been like parking in the wrong parking spot or something.
All right, the late game on Sunday night features Baltimore at Pittsburgh. The spread flipped, was Baltimore by 1.5. It's now a pick'em. I say that there's no way on God's green earth that Roethlisberger has a repeat of that great performance last week. Give me Baltimore in that game.
Yeah, it's all about matchups, people. And if you know anything about the Indianapolis Colts, the secondary, they're having issues. I think they're having entire defensive issues. He was able to just have a field day. Not going to happen with Baltimore. Baltimore, we all know this. They could play football with some old lady at quarterback, and they would still be competitive because they've done it. Like, literally, remember Baltimore before Flacco and in between the year that they had Dilfer and he got them what they needed? it was a carousel, but what did they do all those times? They went to the playoffs. They were in the playoffs all those years. Ray Lewis and that defense. I keep saying it. They just look like that team. They didn't wow you. In the years that they made playoff runs, Baltimore Ravens never wowed you. They just played great defense and scored when they needed to.
You mean Trent Dilfer wasn't just knocking your socks off at quarterback?
Like, man, I've never seen a guy throw a ball like that in all my years. It's not like that. It's defense.
I wonder when Dilfer won the Super Bowl, if that was like the least jerseys sold to school-age children of any quarterback to ever win I don't remember seeing too many Dilfer jerseys around the playground.
Yeah, like it's funny whenever there's a championship in sports, I work in a school, the next week you're going to see the jerseys of the best players because all the kids, that's how you find your teams. My dad always says it was easy for me to be a Cowboys fan. He didn't have the same success with his other kids. Why? Because when they were coming up, the Cowboys were a freaking doormat of the league. I, on the other hand, got to experience those 3 Super Bowls, so it was easy.
Yeah, so we agree on that one. On to the final game of the week, Monday Nighter, Indianapolis at the Giants. God, this is another game that I just don't know what to make of. I thought I knew what the Colts were all about, and then you see them get wrecked. Giants, another team that has just kind of woefully underperformed. Gosh, Bo, man. I say Colts probably squeak it out, but it's going to be close.
Yeah. Gosh, you look at this game and you just got to think, every 2 or 3 games, Eli Manning reminds you that I'm a Super Bowl quarterback, and you see that. You have to wonder, is it the receiving core? Well, if that's the case, that's not going to be the issue much longer because he's already started to work those kinks out. You see people emerge. They have tight end position that's finally starting to catch some balls, and we all know Mr. Manning loves his tight ends. Whenever he has good tight ends, that offense rolls. So going into this game, I'm like still basing it on last week, but you can't do that in this week-to-week league. I take Indianapolis because Luck is not going to have that same performance. He's not going to get turned on. It's going to be a better game from them.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this week of the Sean and Bo Show. We're going to go check out this 30 for 30 on the boss. I'm looking forward to this, Bo.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
All right, so until next week, I'm Sean O'Donnell along with my co-host Bo Greer reminding you, tip your pizza man.
See you next week.